Ghetsis tried to overthrow the world by manipulating a pure-hearted boy, and he's still not the worst parent in Pokémon. Today we're ranking the best and worst parents in the entire Pokémon game universe, and my bottom pick might make some of you angry. Look, the absent parent isn't new to Pokémon. It's such a core part of the franchise that it's become a running joke to this day. But not all the parents in Pokémon are absent. Some are incredible role models, some are complicated to say the least, and some are just plain evil. Today we're going to be going through the named Pokemon parents to determine once and for all who is the best parent in Pokemon and who is the absolute worst. Kicking off our list at number 1, the best parent in all of Pokemon is one that some of you may never have met if you didn't play the DLC. That is the ridiculously over-the-top big dad energy Peony from the Crown Tundra DLC in Sword and Shield. When you first meet him, he's actively involved in his daughter's life, wanting to take her on, as he calls it, an adventure, and completely missing the fact that she really does not want to be there with him. In fact, she uses you as a distraction, and even when she does, he's not mad at her about it. He just says, well, I guess some kids don't want to hang out with their parents at this age. And he goes with it. Peony is just there to have a good time with his daughter and make memories with her. Peony is the dad who shows up to a soccer game you have in full kit, or a mascot costume, or cosplaying you for that matter, and makes you die of embarrassment. But when you look back on it, he's the most beloved dad that you could possibly ask for, which is why we have no choice but to rank him as number 1. Coming in at number 2 is a couple that aren't actually parents, but they may as well be. In Sun, Moon, Ultra Sun, and Ultra Moon, we meet Professor Kukui and Professor Burnett. While they don't have biological children, you can count them as real parents towards Lily, because they take her in, they encourage her, they mentor her, and they look after her for that entire time that she's there. Between the two of them, they give Lily a home to be in, and a place that she can call safe for the first time in years. They even take care of Nebby for her and help her realize what it is that she's actually dealing with. While they're doing this, they're not neglecting their other work, because Professor Kukui, other than his duties as the Master Royal, also establishes the Pokemon League, and Professor Burnett continues her research while they are caring for Lily. They may not be the biological parents, but they are the parents that stepped up, which means I gotta give them number 2. Coming in at number 3 is the first dad to actually be featured in Pokemon. And yeah, we're talking about Norman. Some of you may have been thinking that he should have been higher on this list, and while I do agree that Norman is a supportive parent, I can't exactly call him a present one. The man moved his family from one region to another, but still moved them 2 towns away from where he was working. Way to be present, Dad. That's not saying Norman has no good qualities, he does. When you meet him, he wants to teach you about being a good Pokemon trainer, and not just because you're his kid. He doesn't battle you immediately and go easy on you. He tells you you have to get stronger and more skillful, and he helps Wally get his first Pokemon. He actually encourages you to help Wally catch his first Pokemon, setting you on your journey to become a trainer in the best way possible by helping someone else. And when you do end up battling him, he doesn't hold back against you, he goes full force with that team of 2 slackings, but he's also not bitter in defeat. When you defeat him, he acknowledges your skill, and he's happy and proud that as his child, you surpassed him. So yeah, Norman is a good dad, but I'm still deducting points for the fact that he moved to Petalburg and moved you to Littleroot. Not to mention the fact that he made you sit in the moving truck. Dude, come on. Norman, this is why you are not A tier. Okay, we've covered the best of the best so far. Do you agree with the top 3 or not? Let me know down in the comments, and if you are enjoying lists like this, make sure you subscribe for more content from this channel, because we do have some big plans coming up, which I'll tell you about at the end of the video. Now we're getting on to the honorable mentions, and these are the Pokemon parents that are present in just about every game, but don't have a defined story role other than the fact that they are parents. Yeah, we're talking about most of the moms in Pokemon games, from Gen 1 all the way up to Gen 9. They don't really interact with the story much, they're mostly there to give you a safe place at home to come and heal, give you a place to call home, and to start you off on your journey right. While I can't say that they are the best characters and best Pokemon parents, because they don't really have a role in the story, there's no denying that the supportive mom trope has been in Pokemon from the very beginning, right up until present day. So, honorable mention to the Pokemon moms. Now we come to the bad parents. We're kicking off the bottom half of the list here, and starting us off is Lusamine, the mom from the Alola games, and wow. Lusamine is a portrait of narcissism and obsession. She has a very messy story because between the Sun and Moon games and the Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon games, her story actually changes, but what doesn't change is that she's a bad parent in both of them. When she sees her kids, she regards them as nothing more than tools of her will, and actually calls them unsightly and calls Lily sort of an ugly child that's not beautiful and has no place in this world. On the surface, Lusamine is the successful president of the Ether Foundation. Behind the scenes, not so much. While they initially had a happy family with her husband, and her 2 kids, Gladion and Lily, when her husband disappeared through an Ultra wormhole, Lusamine kinda went off the rails. She became obsessed with the Ultra Beast Nihilego in the Sun and Moon games, and in the Ultra Sun and Moon games she became obsessed with Necrozma, not willing to think about anyone else other than her obsessions. She neglected her 2 kids completely and practically disowned them, saying that, oh, I have no children, because they refused to go along with what she was saying. Her abuse leaves deep scars on both Lily and Gladion, causing Gladion to run away and join Team Skull, and Lily to run away and struggle to find her own identity for a long time after enduring Lusamine's abuse. Even when she gets redeemed and defeated, those scars don't just magically heal. Yes, she steps up to become a bit of a better parent, but it takes time to actually reverse the effects of what she's done, and there's no denying that she definitely deserves to be on the bottom tier list of Pokemon parents. At number 5, we have the almost worst, but not quite, but possibly the most evil man in Pokemon history. We're talking about Ghetsis here. This man adopted N with the sole purpose of using his power to speak to Pokemon to rule the world. Ghetsis' grand plan was to liberate all Pokemon by getting trainers to free their Pokemon so that he would be the only one with power. To do that, he needed a figurehead king, and so he chose N because of his ability to speak with Pokemon. He crowned N as the king of Team Plasma because he needed a powerful figurehead to awaken the legendary dragon so that Ghetsis could take control over it. To do this, he manipulated N from the time he was a child, leaving him isolated from all Pokemon out in the world except those which Ghetsis brought to him. And the ones Ghetsis brought to him? Well, they'd been abused, they'd been hurt by people, so all N was hearing in the time that he heard Pokemon cries was the cries of abused Pokemon. Ghetsis shaped N's worldview to be nothing more than a weapon to use against ordinary Pokemon trainers, and when N finally realized what was happening, and especially when N loses to the player at the end of Black and White, Ghetsis rebukes him completely, disowning him as a freak with no human emotion. Ghetsis found N and used him as a weapon, and once his usefulness was over, Ghetsis discards him and mocks him. Ghetsis is probably one of the worst parents you will ever see on screen, but I don't think he's the worst parent in Pokemon. That bottom spot goes to someone else. So let's take a look at one of the most recent Pokemon games, and unlike Ghetsis, these parents are not motivated by cold, pure evil. Their crime is far colder. They pretty much forget their son existed until they need him. And I'm talking of course about Professors Sada and Turo. In Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, we get to hear the story of the Pokemon Professors Sada and Turo. We build up to it throughout the whole game in our relationship with Arven. We find out that even after they had a child, they were so obsessed with their research that they completely neglected everybody else. When Miraidon or Koraidon came to the lab, the professor took it with him down to Area 0 once it was exposed, leaving Arven alone in his lab with a Mastiff that eventually became a Mastiff to care for him. And not just for a little while, the professor left Arven alone for years, even prompting Arven to go down to Area 0 himself and getting his Mastiff injured. But at that point, did his parents step up and try and help him? No, they didn't even know it happened, because they weren't in contact with Arven. When the professor gets in contact with you in Scarlet and Violet, the twist at the end is that it's not even them. It's an AI that they created to mimic them, who is now trying to get in contact with you because, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but you should have by now, the professor is dead. They died saving your legendary from the other more aggressive one. So, the professor, who couldn't be bothered to contact their child for more than 5 years, died saving a Pokemon's life down in Area 0. Doesn't seem like Arven was high on the priority list there. Their ambition was so absolute that they completely left Arven behind. They had a child, left him behind, and didn't think about him again, or at least didn't attempt to contact him again, for the rest of their lives. And that is exactly why I became obsessed with this character. I wanted to know exactly at which point did Turo lose his humanity? How did someone so brilliant become this empty shell of a person towards the end of his life? I'm actually working on a massive playthrough project right now called Young Turo, where I'm playing through Pokemon Violet as a young version of the professor, trying to rewrite his story and seeing if there's some way we can bring some resolution to his family and to the people he left behind. That'll take another month or two to come out at least, But make sure you are subscribed if you're interested so that you don't miss it when it does drop. I promise you, I think it's some of the best work that I've ever done. And there you have it, the definitive ranking of Pokemon parents, in my opinion at least, from the GOAT, Peony, to the absolute deadbeats, Sada and Turo. I know some of you are going to disagree with me on this list, particularly on why Ghetsis is not on the bottom. If you do, let me know down in the comments, we can fight it out. I will go blow for blow with you about those things, because I think this ranking is solid. Let me know what you want to see from this channel in the future, and if you are looking forward to that Young Turo playthrough, like I said, make sure you're subscribed. Thanks everyone, and if you like this video, you might just like this one too, so try clicking on it.